Yeah, it was a tough day yesterday, and we're going to get into everything. But first, a word from our friends at FanDuel. As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, brand new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. That could be a basketball bet, a baseball bet, a hockey bet, a football bet, a bowl game bet, anything you can bet on. $5 moneyline bet wins you $150 for new customers. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time than right now to get in on the action. The app is so simple to use, so easy, and they have a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. That is FanDuel.com/UCSS. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL, an official partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We showcased this winning ticket last week. I messed up the name on it. This one comes from Akron Dre Day, and this was from the Tuesday Cavs 76ers game. I had to give him a little extra love because I messed it up last week, but he turned two $30 parlays into $932. Nice. This last one hit a 7-part same-game parlay with Evan Mobley, Tobias Harris, Max Strus, Evan Mobley rebounds, Tyrese Maxey points, Garland points, and Embiid points. All hit the over. That $15 parlay ended him with $687. He hit another $15 parlay that won about $300. So Akron Dre Day, my bad last week, but congratulations. That is $30 into $930. If you have a FanDuel ticket that wins, make sure you tweet it at us, email it at us, and we will feature it on the show.
Just a kid from Akron doing pretty well on the FanDuel app. That's not bad. 30 and a 932. All right, we talked about the game plan a little bit. I touched on it. Thoughts from you guys. The 42 passes, 16 handoffs, I believe, or at least attempted
16
handoffs.
running back runs.
16 running back runs.
Yeah.
Handoffs to the running backs.
Right.
They had a couple of other mixed in there.
Yeah.
What do we think about that distribution?
I thought, they should have run it more. Yeah, clearly. I can get behind that. They should have run it more. I also think there was a lot more beyond just handing the ball off that went wrong. The tackles are getting exposed, especially on the left side. Jaron Christian had a miserable day.
Yeah, he is who we thought he was.
Yes, and between the false starts and the holds and giving up the sacks, just a ton of drops again. The drops are just turning into criminal, and you can't have that when your margin of error is as thin as it is, and that they just got absolutely gashed in the run game. I don't know that we saw that coming. So it went well beyond just they didn't hand the ball off enough. And I would agree with that. I do think they needed to run it more. And we'll get into the play that everyone lost their mind over, the Pierre Strong reverse.
Yeah.
I was texting with Tyvus this morning because I didn't go to Denver. I'm here. And so I wasn't in the locker room after the game, and it's too early to text anyone now. Everyone was traveling yesterday, so I haven't talked to anyone around the team. But I texted Tyvus this morning, and really the blocking broke down on that play pretty badly, and we can get into it a little bit later. And that it had no chance of working. Oh, you want to do it now? We can just do it now.
We're here. Might as well do it.
All right, let's do it now. So the Browns had 3-on-2, and if you want to pull this up on your own, you can probably pull it up and go a little bit slower on it. But they had 3-on-2 on the right side to block them, and DJ Jones just made a great play. And Tyvus said he thought they were expecting him to go inside, and he went outside on Wyatt. You'll see it here. He does the swing move outside on Wyatt, and he blows the whole thing up. And I think Pierre fumbled it because he saw he was about to get blown up.
It was a pressure pitch.
Yeah, and
100%.
Because ultimately you're asking a running back to catch a pitch. That's not a tall task. Like, you're a running back, catch a toss, catch a pitch. But I think he saw DJ Jones had actually blown it up, and Teller let him go, and that's the part I'm confused on, because normally if Wyatt misses a block, he's going to turn his head, he's going to turn around and try and chase him, chip him, do something, and Wyatt just seemed to release him and let him go. And Tyvus felt like he just, because of the outside swim move, if he goes inside, Pierre has enough speed to catch that
Doesn't
end.
have the angle then.
Yeah,
yes.
then Pierre catches the end. They just need PJ to just throw almost like a basketball screen pick on the defensive end, and you should have a big play. DJ Jones, great defensive tackle, made a great play. And that's really what it comes down to. And Tyvus's point was like, Denver should have known something was up right away, because they haven't run a play with Elijah Moore in the backfield in 7 weeks. So when you see Elijah Moore in the backfield and Pierre's out wide, that sends your radar, something's up, where if they reverse those roles, maybe you have a better chance of pulling this off. But as soon as they see Elijah lined up in the backfield and Pierre's flanked out to the wide,
dead giveaway.
That's a radar that something is up. So I didn't love the play call either. But really, I think the breakdown was on the blocking and the fact that DJ Jones probably read it, right away. And the fact he goes outside swim move on Wyatt rather than playing it inside, which the Browns are expecting him to play inside, really prevented that from having any chance of working.
The Browns had two, trick plays or different plays that went wrong. Obviously, the Harrison Bryant fumble. That's a play they run all the time. But I'll say this, like every time a trick play goes wrong for your team, it usually is a disaster.
Yes.
If you try a reverse, if you try a double reverse, it's a disaster. I in general love trick plays and usually don't have a problem with Kevin Stefanski. I've almost never criticized him for trick plays. I hated this one because of what you said, it was obvious that they were doing something. Pierre Strong hadn't even been in the game for the most part, and I didn't like in that situation with a quarterback who just came in and a running back who hasn't played all day, and you've set it up in an obvious way because, as you said, Elijah Moore hasn't been in the backfield at all in the last few weeks. I didn't like it. Plus, it wasn't blocked well. I thought it was a bad decision. Overall, people losing their minds every time there's a trick play, every time a trick play doesn't work is ridiculous. Of course, there's sometimes not going to work. And when it doesn't, it looks bad. I think this one specifically is fair criticism. When you make it a whole overarching thing that, these trick plays, they never work. Yeah, they do. You just forget the ones that do work.
I sent you a link yesterday. Shane Steichen in Indy was called a wizard because on 4th and 1, they faked the handoff and he throws it. It is a great play. It goes for 11, 12 yards. On 4th and 1, he's out of shotgun. Gardner's out of shotgun and throws it. And Shane Steichen's a wizard for it. And now he's up for Coach of the Year, and he's getting like this late run, this late push. Whereas if the receiver drops it,
he's an idiot.
He's an idiot.
They're on his job.
And that play was a Kevin special. Like, it was absolutely a Stefanski play on 4th and 1. Fake the handoff, throw it to the wide open guy. He was wide open. Go find
the
it.
thing
Wide
with
open.
the trick plays, and Bull touched on this, they're high risk and they're high reward.
Yeah.
Whenever you ask someone to do something that they don't ordinarily do,
Yes.
When you ask a tight end to crawl up under center and take a snap, that's out of his norm. When you ask a running back to catch a pitch and make a pitch on the fly, that's out of their norm.
Well, to catch a pitch, you're a running back. You ought to catch a pitch.
I get that, but it's different from you're taking it from a different.
Yeah.
You're not taking it from a quarterback.
And that's
so
why
there's
I hated-
elements in there that can blow that play up, and that's what happened.
And that's why I hated the Amari reverse throw from, was it last year, the Monday night game last year?
year, yeah.
Yes.
That I hated that
right.
because that's exactly, you're asking someone to do something they're not comfortable doing. You don't ask Amari Cooper to throw the ball down the field. That's why I didn't like that one as much. I'm sure. I don't see practice. I guarantee you they rep that and rep that and rep that last week, but they didn't have a defensive tackle blow the play up during practice, and that's what sent the whole thing. So I don't have a problem with necessarily the pitch to Pierre because I'm sure they repped it, and he's a running back. You ought to be able to catch a toss. Denver made a great play, and I didn't love the play call at the time either for the moment, but I'm sure it was, hey, listen, we got this quarterback in who turns the ball over every time he touches the ball. We got to run the ball. They know we're going to run the ball. Let's try and disguise it a little bit. And it blew up in a catastrophe.
That was the turning point. The game was a winnable game up to that point.
It seemed to take all the momentum.
That was it.
They were starting to roll. Like,
they were
really
and you're
starting
right.
to roll.
I agree with you.
But I think
the DTR injury.
And that's,
I mean, that after. But you felt like at that point it was a 5-point game. You thought, okay, now you go back to what has worked, the run game, have us 8-minute, 80-yard drive down the field, score a touchdown, take the lead, and now put the onus on the Denver offense.
If Dorian doesn't get hurt, do they run that play at that moment?
Yeah,
Probably
I doubt
not.
it. I doubt
Probably
it.
not.
No chance.
I think that's
so.
we got this quarterback in who's a turnover machine. We have to run it. They know we have to run it. Let's at least try and dress it up a little bit.
Right.
And it blew up.
I personally think we've talked a lot, and I agree with you. They should have run the ball more. However, I think it's being blown out of proportion. They were in the drives where they threw on first down, they were way more efficient.
Yeah.
In their scoring drives, they threw on first down quite a bit.
That's worth pointing
out. And I thought
out.
DTR was throwing the ball. Listen, he's far from perfect. He made some bad throws. But overall, I saw an improvement again. The drops, I don't want to hear about him throwing too hard. The drops are on the receivers. You got to hold the freaking ball. Amari Cooper's got to catch that 2-point conversion in the end zone. That's got to be caught. That's an easy play.
They had drops all over the field.
Garrett's grumbling.
I hate
it. Get it off.
Wait, G, before you go, because I know we're going to go, I did some research this morning, and I found something out that was pretty interesting. So before DTR's injury, I don't count the P.J. Walker stuff.
Right.
Because the whole game plan changed when DTR went out. But before DTR went out, and I saw this, the Faithful Dog podcast tweeted it out. I went to confirm myself. I went through the play log to do my own research to make sure this was accurate. Before DTR got hurt, up to that point, they had ran 29 pass plays and 16 rush plays. However, 6 of those pass attempts came in that final 2-minute drive of the first half, which are obvious passing situations, and 6 came on 3rd and longs, 3rd and 7 or longer, where you're going to throw the ball. You take out those in non-obvious pass situations, they were almost dead even. 17 passes, 16 runs.
But again, you're taking out that every team has obvious passing situations in every game.
Well, yeah, that's why
So
more
I mean,
teams pass.
whenever you start saying, "Well, take that out, take this out, take that out,"
But I'm saying in non-obvious pass situations.
I
you
know,
had a
that's
choice.
what you're saying.
It's a
but
damn
again,
near 50-50 split.
When you just look at the fight, now obviously once DTR was out of the game, now you're asking a guy who can't throw the football to throw the football all over the place.
Once he
and he has to throw it at that point.
right, but after the turnover, now you're down. They were down.
You're down 2
12.
scores.
That's what I'm saying. At that point,
what are
the
you gonna
game's
do?
over. The game was over because you're not going to pass the ball with P.J. Walker out of a 12-point hole. That's just not happening.
But this is worth pointing out, and then Garrett, get it off. Bull, you mentioned it. The Browns' success rate Sunday on series that started with a pass, 79%. On series that started with a run, 40%. And a success rate in this instance is a drive that then converts into a first down, a new set of downs, or a score or something like that. So the metrics, and I know people want to roll their eyes to the metrics a lot of times, the metrics say they had more success throwing it on first down than they did on running it.
But again, the metrics also say that Jerome Ford was averaging 7 yards a carry.
And yes.
And so
they should have run it more.
And
they should have run it more. I don't disagree.
Yeah, no one's disagreeing with that.
I honestly felt like before the game started, I said, this is a simple game plan. You're going to run the hell out of the ball. That's just what you're going to do because Denver hasn't proven they can stop it. So in the vein of doing what Bill Belichick does before every game, what does the opponent do that you can take advantage of? I just thought it lined up perfectly for the Browns. And the one thing that was interesting, too, most of the games this year, they've had the time of possession. They've run more plays. Obviously, that wasn't the case yesterday.
Yeah.
When you look at Denver's stats, if you would have said this is what Denver's going to do offensively, going into that game, they both had 135 passing yards, DTR and Russell Wilson. And they ran the ball alarmingly well against this Browns defense. We can get into that later. But they didn't put up this, huge number of offensive yards. This was a winnable game if they take care of the ball and do what they do best.
Jay, part of the reason I think they were able to run the ball so well once they did get to it, because the first 2 drives, they weren't running the ball well. When they did run, it wasn't.
I think they only had two runs, didn't they?
One or the first 3 drives.
Yeah, they just didn't run it. They came out throwing the ball.
Well, but they had like 2. They didn't have a lot of plays, period.
No, I know, but they did.
Throwing the ball may have opened up the running game because the Broncos obviously had 8 guys in the box expecting them to run.
Yeah, but you can also say that running opens up the pass. It works both ways.
Because they ran better after they threw the ball. So,
situation, by the way.
It's just,
it was a valiant effort, guys. I love the effort. Y'all had your stats ready. You had the phones ready. Valiant effort. Mikey McNuggets had his, if you take this out, this was a beautiful situation. I love the coordinated effort. But this whole entire game plan was probably one of the worst game plans I've seen from Kevin Stefanski. And the reason why is because his main issue is this. He outthinks himself. Team has worked with the worst run defense in the game. How's about we just come out and throw it? No. Good teams say worst run defense in the league, we're running it till you stop it. And the statistics and the data show that when they ran it, they were getting gaping holes. It wasn't as if they were stout up there. It was like, here, Jerome Ford, 6. Here you go, give him the ball 7. But the reason it hits you different is because the Browns had an opportunity to win this football game. But instead of going to what they know they can do, they ran the ball 4,000 times against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Much better defense. Baltimore Ravens, guess what? They had to establish something. They had to establish something against the San Francisco 49ers. The reality of the situation is they came in and they got tricky. I like some of your trick plays, Kev, but let's just be honest, man. You're going to get eviscerated if your tight end, your backup tight end, drops the snap. It's what's going to happen. You're going to take that L every time because people are going to say, dude, who the hell's around the league puts their second team tight end in the game? I swear up and down, this man, Harrison Bryant, is probably in his family. Did he marry somebody in Stefanski's family? Is he a brother-in-law? I need to know. Is he in the will somewhere? Because this, you're going to get killed if you do that. And the reverse. Oh, Lord. I understand they ran it in practice, but any sort of defensive lineman, when you see something happening like that,
even before the snap, they're pointing out something's tricky.
Let me tell you what they tell defensive linemen to do. If you are in a position where you see guys moving around and in a trick position, you hit your best move off the line. Don't be involved with no linemen. You ain't got to put hands on nobody. Get your swim move on. Dip, dive, move out of the way. Get in the backfield. And they put Elijah Moore in the backfield like no one was gonna spot that. And a backup tailback. My thing is this: look, that was painfully obvious. And sometimes Kev gets the JV playbook. But at that point, at that time in the game, when you're down 17-12, that is malpractice. You cannot run that play there with PJ Walker, a third team running back, and Elijah Moore, who has never run a reverse good this year. We haven't run a reverse for any positive yards in ever. Why are we continuing to go to the reverse like that's money?
I think that plays out of the playbook for a while.
I thought it was dead. I thought it
was too. I thought we'd seen the last of it a couple weeks ago, but I can't imagine he's going to go back to that well.
No, I hope not. I mean, I'm not saying fire the guy. I'm not saying put him on a stake or anything. But what I am saying to you is there is a fact of the matter that Kevin Stefanski in pivotal times has these things happen. We've all documented them. Like bringing Jacoby Brissett in to throw a fade around on 4th and 1.
Well, I don't know. The Browns did good things in pivotal times against the Niners, the Bengals, the Steelers, and the Ravens this year.
Game to game, Blue.
Okay, but
you had a good, hold on. You had a good show. You had a good show yesterday.
Yeah.
You got to have a good show today too.
Well, you made it seem like every time in a big spot he blows it.
There's lots of times when he blows it with those.
Well, every coach blows it in a big spot sometimes and gets it right in a big spot sometimes.
That's what I'm saying.
Outside of maybe one or two coaches, maybe not any.
When you have that's not a play. And here's another thing that I think people are missing. We don't have the team we started the season with, guys. Even though it may be a good idea, you can't put your young, inexperienced players in those positions and hope that they're going to make those plays.
But, G, let me be devil's advocate for 1 second. Because when you look at the injuries that this team has across the board, sometimes it almost had the feel of a team that knows they're going up against a team. They're a 25-point underdog. Conventional isn't going to get it done.
That's exactly right.
When you're playing. So it's a valiant effort to try the trick plays. I get it. And every play, by the way, is drawn up to work.
Remember?
But I think Kevin had come to the agreement, or at least he had come to the conclusion after DTR was out, now I got another horse off the field. I got to reach into my bag of tricks. And at that point, it's kind of hope and poke. See what happens.
The Browns beat the Patriots a few years ago, and they were awful. They were the god-awful typical Browns, and they beat, was the Patriots or Saints or some Super Bowl contender. And it was just trick play. It was trick play after trick play after trick play, fake punt, statue, like you name it. They just pulled it all out because they knew they didn't have the talent to line up man-to-man and run a normal offense. And I think we're getting to that point with the injuries, with where this team is at.
I think we are at that point.
I mean, my God, if they could go into next week's game without their top, 5-6 players as it stands right now. And by the way, P.J. Walker got Amari Cooper hurt. That was a horrible throw. He exposed him to an unnecessary hit, exposed his ribs on an 8-yard throw. He threw it 8 feet over his head. Like, you cannot have P.J. Walker be the quarterback of this team anymore. How he's still on this roster blows my mind. How they're in this position where you have to rely on this guy for anything.
But what do you do? I mean, obviously it's Joe Flacco.
It's got to be Flacco.
If DTR can't play. What if DTR is healthy?
I stick with DTR.
You stay with him.
I'm telling you.
He looked great in that touchdown drive.
That throw he made to Amari on 3rd down, it looked like it was a dead play. And that was, you talk about arm strength, that was all arm. It was like Off balance, wrong foot he's throwing off, all arm strength, sideline out to Amari.
Right.
That was an incredible
Well,
throw.
and then in the end zone, he makes a great throw to Njoku, puts it only where he can get it.
And he
Njoku
drops
it. And then he made a great throw after, a little trickery, by the way, to get Harrison Bryant open in the end zone.
And
he
Harry
hits
hold
Amari,
on.
and he hit Amari Cooper right in the hands for the 2-point conversion.
It could have been a little bit better throw, but Amari needs to catch that.
But come on.
He needs to catch that.
You're
He's
Amari
Cooper.
You gotta
I agree.
catch that
I
ball.
agree. He needs to catch it.
He
But
doesn't get a pass on that.
That
Yeah, no.
drive, man, I saw this kid grow up. And I tweeted, like, he just grew up 3 years in the last 15 minutes. That throw, that sideline out to Amari, I felt like, here he goes.
Great
Like,
play.
he's got it now. And then he threw one into tight coverage into, I think, Njoku. It was an incredible throw. It looked like a veteran's throw. And you could just see him feeling himself. You could see the confidence growing. And then he takes the hit and he's knocked out of the game. If he can go, I stick with DTR. I said that last week. I'm rolling with this kid.
I agree. The only way Joe Flacco's on the field is, and by the way, with the pieces missing up front, you could be looking at a double-digit sack game if you put Joe Flacco in with that offensive line.
Oh, my God, yeah.
He is a sitting duck back there. So, I mean, the hope is
But
DTR
did not get
protocol.
sacked the whole game.
No, because
There was 4 sacks once he was out.
he made a couple slide moves in the pocket. He's learning it. Exactly your point. As I'm watching it, I'm thinking the same thing. He is maturing right now on the road in a tough environment. By the way, the Broncos took this game to the Browns physically.
Yeah.
They out-physicaled the Browns. And I know how important is Denzel Ward to this defense, guys?
Well, Greg Newsome.
We'll get
Greg
to that. We'll get to
Newsome,
that.
my God.
Is that next,
But
Mike?
one more thing real quick on DTR. I thought he would be pressured into turnovers. I think I said on Friday, my headline was he's going to throw 2 picks.
Yeah.
I thought Denver would win off turnovers, but I thought it would be DTR turnovers. I thought for what the position he's been put in this year, I was really impressed with the way DTR played. And
agree.
It's really unfortunate. And now you go into L.A., I mean, Miles, highly questionable. We're probably not going to get any updates. They're in California now. We're not going to get any updates during the show. But Miles is highly questionable. DTR, highly questionable. Obviously, Nick's out.
Cooper.
Amari Cooper, highly questionable.
Yeah.
Denzel. I mean, right there's your top 5 players. You could be without all 5 of those guys.
It felt